Hello everyone, gabestah here. This is the 24th episode in the Orcs Must Die walkthrough series, and we are on the final mission. We've made it to the finale mission. And appropriately, this is a pretty challenging mission. You can see from the map, if I pull up my Steam and then the map here, we've got 4 entrances, northeast, southwest, although there's 2 doors to each, but they pretty much do the same thing. Going up separate stairways to the central rift. And then we also have this square-shaped sort of narrow path all the way around that connects everything up. And this will be the key to our strategy here. So what we're going to do is force all the orcs to go through our narrow hallways where we'll have some strong defenses set up to really obliterate them. And the first thing to do is check the loadout. You can see we have a lot of all the ground orcs basically that you'd face, including some hefty armored ogres and sappers, which will be a real problem. But there's a really good tactic that I'll show you to deal with sappers on this map, and really any map for that matter. So I'm going to use the Ice Amulet, Blade Staff, Flame Bracers, Tar Trap, Barricade, Wall Blades, Brimstone, Clockwork Mace, and then I just have an extra that I don't really use, so I'll just get the Auto Ballista, but it's up to you. I should also mention you do get a Coin Forge this mission, and I can actually, I'll just load that and show you what it does. But unfortunately, it's not that useful because you can see it takes up a huge amount of ground space, and since it is on the ground, you can't build any traps that use the ground on it. And it's very cheap, so if you can find a way to make a lot of money from it, that's great, but it doesn't really serve our purposes on this map. Okay, anyway, so to get started, on the north side on the left, so left side on the north, I want to come down here, and if you look on the ground on the front left, you see this sort of light shape at the top of the stairs. This is showing us the outline of where we want to place our first barricade. So right here against the edge of the wall, just as the light shows you that edge there. And then we want to make corner and corner. And that will completely block off this right side entrance. And then on the top, on the other side of north, we want to do a full wall of 3. And this is our basic wall pattern. We're going to do this at all 4 sides eventually. So just get used to what you see here. This is the key to the strategy. So this, again, has to hang over this wall slightly. If you move it back too far to the left here, then there's actually a gap. Even if it looks like they're corner to corner, things will fit through. And then just 2 more to finish it off. And then the straight wall up top. So I'll go to the east, and get on the left side, do the same thing.
Who wants more traps? I do!
And then I'm going to do 2 at the top. And I don't have enough money, but eventually I'll finish this one. So once that's done, head to the north. That's where the first spawns come. And get started. And I stand right in front here of the right side on the north and drop a Flame Bracer wall. That will immediately kill the first 5 orcs, then back up, and you can kill the fire ogre afterward. And then catch up to your orcs. And just the normal strategy we've used so much is the Flame Bracer wall. Hitting the guys with the shields. And now the wave was over, sprint over to the east to finish off your wall at the top. And then head down to the left side, east. And as soon as these start to spawn, throw down a flame wall and then move to the right. This is because you have to deal with sappers. So what we want to do is we want to get the sappers coming toward us and then explode. and kill off a bunch of orcs. And I'm going to move to the left, do another flame wall, because now we're going to get sappers on the left. Here they come. And make sure you kill them all before you move on. Alright, now I'm going to catch up to the orc that got past. There we go. So that second part can be somewhat tricky, because you got the early sapper wave on the right and then the later sapper wave on the left. And you can't let them get close to your barricades, or obviously they'll be exploded. So once the wave is over, I go to the south and I do the same pattern. On the left we do this crosshatch setup, and on the right we do the wall of 3 at the top. And then I'm actually going to go all the way over to the west and do this one. And then run back this way toward the spawns and start doing the flame trail. And the only reason I do that is just because I have the time, and I know if I attack early before they get into the small hallway because of the crossbowmen, it's not really that efficient for me. So I'm just spending my time wisely. And if you have any stragglers, finish them off. There we go. And now, let's burn all the way back to the west and finish the top side of that. So now all our barricades are done. So if I keep going this way, I can see I've now met up with our original north side. So over here, I'm going to spend this time to drop a swinging mace on the front left side of this north west hallway. Then I'm going to pick up Steelweaver Death Augmenter, since my trap is now going to get some kills. And I'm going to try to let my swinging mace get most of my kills here if I can. I can use the freeze to get them in range a little bit. Good enough. Alright, so that is the first challenging part. If you made it this far without letting anything through, you should have your barricades set up properly. So let's just talk a little bit about the setup for the barricades. Basically, we've made this pattern of this crosshatch on the, well, it'd be the left side facing downward, obviously, and the right side facing up toward the rift. But with this pattern, this obviously forces all the orc spawns from any given side to move this way to the left, and then they're fully blocked on that side at the top on each, so they go left through the small hallway around the corner, and then they find themselves on the opposite side of the crosshatch in the next section, at which point they have access to the rift. And this setup basically ensures that we can get orcs to go through these small hallway areas where we can use efficient trap setups. So, and I should mention that I've tried many variations of this setup, and you can do like 2 crosshatches, so you only have to really trap 2 hallways areas instead of 4. But the problem is that it takes too long. You don't get par time very quickly. So with this method, by using all 4, the same pattern, it's a lot easier to set up. You don't have to think about your directions as much, and you get this cool sort of speed boost, basically. So now we have a very precise setup for traps, and the reason for this setup is it works really well for the sappers I mentioned, and you'll see that. So anyway, I've got the swinging mace, and make sure it's on the left there at the front. So like, just match up this front left part with that edge. This will give you room to do another one on the right eventually. And then you want to do tar traps, not at the, you want to do it centered on this part of the hall, but not all the way back. So one's a little square back and right in the center. And then do 2 more going toward the length of the swinging mace. And then we're going to repeat this by going east, so to the northeast. Do the same thing. And obviously, my explanation of this is a lot longer than it will take you once you know what you're doing. And so in an actual run-through, it's much faster than this. And then the final one you can afford at this point should be the south east version. So same thing. And then you'll find the only place you can't put anything because of money is the southwest. So you want to go over there and hit start. And actually, we've got ogres, so I'm going to go out here and beat on them a little bit. And use your flame bracer on the frost ogre. Make sure you let him eat the dot damage from the fireball. And then because it's crossbowman afterward, you'll want to hide slightly so that they don't stand there and shoot you. And there's always a straggler. Then I'll pick up my coins. So now I want to move back to that corner really quickly, the southwest,
That's gonna leave a mark.
and stay perfectly still. You can move around, with your mouse, but do not move your character once the wave starts. And the reason for this is wave 6 is the next time you see sappers, and you get a lot of them. There's huge streams from the north, then from the east, and then from the south. But, so if you watch the map, our swinging maces are able to hit the sappers as they come in. And the sappers are taking the correct path. And the reason they're pathing correctly and not just running straight through our barricades is because we're standing perfectly still. They have a strange mechanic. In fact, let me pause here while I explain this. The sappers have this sort of aggro mechanic, meaning, how they aggressively pursue your character. If your character is moving a lot, they will constantly be shifting paths, and they will inevitably run straight toward a barricade that you have down. But if your character is perfectly still, they can easily calculate the shortest path to get to your character that does not have to go through anything, meaning through any walls or barricades, and they will avoid hitting barricades on their own. So by staying perfectly still where we were in that southwest corner at the start of the 6th wave, even those initial spawns from the north were able to path all the way toward us. And by trying to get to us, they actually went through one of our swinging maces and pretty much died from that. So that was the ideal situation. At that point, you only have to manually kill off the south spawns because the north and the east ones are killed on their own. So it works really well for sappers on any level. Anyway, once that's done, start dropping your second swinging mace in each position. So I just basically sprint between the positions. And there's only really one spot for it that'll be side to side. It's not obviously identically matched because the spacing is weird here, but that's where you want it. And watch your mini-map to see if any orcs get through. Most of them should be destroyed, but just to be safe. There we go. And now we'll start doing the, oops, no, not yet, sorry.
You know what you want.
The wall blades. So I put 2 on the side of my closest tar trap to the entrance area, basically. And just repeat that. Go around.
They'll never never see this coming.
And you'll notice on this 8th wave you hear the howl of hunters, so watch your minimap to make sure they don't get too close to you and potentially kill you. Usually they won't. You'll also notice you start to get some pretty big kill streaks with this setup, so it works pretty well. Then just make sure everything's dead. And then we're going to do another couple wall blades. And again, just try to move them from the entrance point of your tar traps and then back away. So since we did these first two, I just keep going along that wall and along our tar traps. I should also mention that the tar traps are in the center here because that's the most efficient. It's sort of a waste to do two here because the hallway's so thin. The orcs have a hard time getting so close to the wall that they're not snared. So I'm going to just go around and do some more wall blades on everything. And I believe this 9th set gives us a couple armored ogres. So I can't remember if it's north or south that they spawn. But you want to be ready for those, so it's north, by hopping in the ballista here. So you should be able to completely ignore all these smaller orcs. Your traps should take care of them. But the armored ogres, you'll want to kill with the ballista pretty quickly, or at least get them low. And ideally, you'll start with the right one, since it's the one closer to the rift from its spawn point. And remember, since it's an ogre, it doesn't give you a bonus of coin income if a trap kills it, so you can just kill it yourself. And actually, now I recall, ballista is technically a trap for that bonus. And then just stay up here, making sure on your minimap that nothing gets past, but you don't want to aggro the orcs more than you need to. And grab your coins. And then continue the wall traps. So once you're done with this ones at the snare, I like to do another inside one. Meaning on the inside wall. So I actually screwed up. I forgot that there were sappers on the wave 10. So as soon as I realized it just now, I stayed still completely again. And I don't think my barricades actually got destroyed, but they were getting exploded a little bit on the north. So I'll check after this phase ends to ensure I'm okay. We have a fire ogre. I'm going to let him get into my traps and then freeze him. Alright, I'm going to check my barricades to the north. Yeah, just a little bit of damage. So just keep that in mind. Don't do what I did. Make sure you are ready at the start of wave 10 for the sapper spawns. And just like you did on wave 6, stay completely still and they will path correctly and not explode your barricades. So now I'm just running around to keep my trap count even. So just basically replacing traps that I haven't filled out otherwise. Oops. And then just watch the minimap, make sure nothing gets through. On this wave there's a couple frost ogres I know, so I'm gonna dot that guy a couple times and then go get the other one. And I should have ported, but oh well. Come here, guy. Alright, and now more traps. This is the final wave.
Just for you. Just add orcs and blend.
So I'm going to hop into ballistas. and do a bit of damage. You don't... One thing to keep in mind on this final wave is it's all ogres, and you don't have to actually kill the ogres. You just have to do significant damage to them. Your traps should do a lot. Ah, hate that. Sometimes I can't headshot them at all. And just watch the armored ogres. They're going to be the last ones alive. So make sure you have a sense of which ones will be around and where they will be. Use your mini-map. And then if you did it properly, you should be through. And this strategy should give you part-time really easily. It's not really a strategy meant for high score, since you don't really rely on combos, but none of my strats that I've been giving are. It's mostly to get 5 skulls and get through. And yeah, you can see we got part-time with a good minute to spare. So that is it. And we should now have 5 skulls on all the normal missions. And we can almost afford a good upgrade, but I'm going to save it. And we'll move on to the next set of tutorials, or walkthrough, I guess, for the next difficulty, where everything ramps up and you get a lot more sappers and all that good stuff. So, thanks for watching. Let's continue on.